Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here, and in this video we're going to do a comparison of two mid-range smartphones, the Oppo K1 with the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2. So there is a similarity between these two devices that both have the Snapdragon 660 chipset and both have 4GB RAM. So in this video we'll analyze all the aspects and see which is better device to buy in this price segment. So let's get started with the detailed comparisons. First step, let's have a look at the pricing. The Oppo K1 is priced 16,999, that's 17K, while the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2, the 4GB RAM is priced 14,999, that's 15K. So there is a 2K difference between these two devices. So let's get started with the detailed comparison. So first step, let's have a look at the design and build quality. So design wise, you could see that both are made of plastic material. You can see that the front panel has the water drop notch on the Oppo K1, while we have the regular notch on the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2. So we would say the front panel design looks better on the Oppo K1, because you can also see that the bottom bezels are slightly on the higher side on the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2. So in terms of the front panel design, the Oppo K1 is our choice with the water drop notch and lesser bezels. Now when you look at the back panel, this is one area where you can see that both are quite good and both are made of plastic material. There isn't much to differentiate between these two devices. Both have the glossy finish, and you can see that both the devices have a fingerprint magnet on the back panel, and looks wise both are quite good. It's more of a personal choice on which device you like in terms of the looks. Now talking about the other aspects, you can see the speaker unit and the 3.5mm audio jack, and also the micro USB charging slot on both the devices. The right side houses the power key on both the phones, while we have the volume rocker keys also on the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2, while on the Oppo K1 the volume keys are on the left side along with the SIM tray on both the devices. So that's the design and build quality. So we would say Oppo K1 definitely has an advantage in terms of the design aspect. Build quality, it is quite similar on both the phones. Now moving on to the display. Now here we have 6.4 inches Full HD plus resolution display on the Oppo K1, while we have a 6.26 inches Full HD plus resolution display on the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2. Now talking about the display quality, while both are Full HD plus resolution panels, one difference here is that Oppo K1 comes with an AMOLED panel, which makes the display really great on the Oppo K1 when compared to the IPS LCD panel on the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2. ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2 definitely has a good IPS LCD panel. Colors are quite vibrant. Display quality also looks good, but here we would give it to the Oppo K1 for the really brilliant display in this price segment. Apart from that, there is Gorilla Glass 5 on the Oppo K1, while it's Gorilla Glass 6 on the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2. So M2 definitely has an advantage in terms of the display protection, but we'll still give it to the Oppo K1 in the display department. Now moving on to the software. So this is one area where these two devices have vast differences. We have the Color OS on the Oppo K1. So if you look at the Color OS, you can see that it has Android 8.1 Oreo out of the box. So that's something which is not really acceptable for a phone priced 17K, and that too in 2019. You can see that it runs on Color OS version 5.2 and it has Android 8.1. And if you look at the Color OS, it does offer additional features including dual app support, app split screen. If you go to smart and convenient option, ASUS Ball, smart sidebar, so gestures are supported. So overall it is a feature rich UI, but then Color OS is not really that great in terms of the usability, and apart from that, the update cycle on Color OS is not really that great. Now coming to the Zenfone Max Pro M2, so this has the stock like UI. So if you're a person who loves stock Android, this is probably the best option to go with, because there is no third-party options or customization, and this is slated to get the Android 9 update this month or probably next month. So that's guaranteed by ASUS. So we would suggest to go with the Zenfone Max Pro M2 if software is your priority, because it has stock like UI, very simple and a basic UI. But if you are a person who loves a lot of customization, then the Color OS is something which you should be looking at. So that's the two devices in terms of the software. Now moving on to the performance. So this is one area where these two devices are exactly the same because they have the Snapdragon 660 octa-core chipset with 4GB RAM and 64GB storage. Now in terms of day-to-day experience, both are equally good. Neither of them have any sort of lag or issues, and both does the job pretty well without any sort of hiccups in any of the tasks. When it comes to gaming, this is one area where we feel the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2 has an advantage, because the heating was considerably lower than the Oppo K1. Oppo K1 did have the temperature go up to 46 degrees, but the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2 did not have that issue. So gaming experience was slightly better overall on the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2, but not by a huge margin. Now moving on to the other aspects, now fingerprint scanner. So the fingerprint scanner on the Zenfone Max Pro M2 is on the back panel. It's a typical fingerprint scanner, while on the Oppo K1 it's on the display. So it's an in-display fingerprint scanner. That's an advantage. So if you want to experience the latest technology, then Oppo K1 would be the better choice. Now there is face unlock available on both the devices. Both does a pretty good job. Now moving on to the call quality, both have pretty good call quality. The speaker performance also looks really good on both the phones. Now moving on to the camera. So we have a dual camera setup on both the phones. We have a 16 and 2 megapixel camera combination with f-stop 1.7 aperture, while we have a 12 and 5 megapixel camera combination on the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2. So both the devices are well equipped in terms of the camera department. Looking at the selfie camera, we have a 25 megapixel AI selfie camera on the Oppo K1, while we have a 13 megapixel selfie camera on the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2. Now looking at the camera sample, so here you could see that Oppo K1 definitely has an edge in terms of the daylight captures. Colors look slightly better on the Oppo K1, not by a huge margin though, but then ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2 also has an advantage that the colors looks a bit more natural on the Max Pro M2. So both the devices are pretty good in terms of daylight condition, but our choice probably would be the Oppo K1. Now looking at the low light performance, this is one area where neither of these devices are really great, but we would say that the Zenfone Max Pro M2 has an advantage here because when we reviewed the Oppo K1, we mentioned that low light performance is something which is not that great on the Oppo K1. Now talking about the selfie experience, again here we feel the Oppo K1 has an advantage with a great selfie experience, probably one of the best in the segment with the 25 megapixel selfie camera. The ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2 has a decent camera performance for selfies as well, but here we feel the Oppo K1 definitely has an advantage. So overall in terms of the camera performance, we feel both are good, but Oppo K1 definitely has an advantage in terms of the camera performance. Both have 4K recording and electronic image stabilization offered. Now finally the battery life. So we have a 3600 mAh capacity battery on the Oppo K1, while we have a large 5000 mAh capacity battery on the Zenfone Max Pro M2. So in terms of battery performance, without doubt the winner would be the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2. So which is the better device to buy? So having had a look at all the aspects, we feel both the devices are really good for the price segment, because if you're looking for an affordable option, then the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2 is a better option because it's 15K, it has good design and build quality, Gorilla Glass 6, stock Android, and promised update to Android 9.0, gaming performance is good, excellent battery life as well with above average cameras. But if you want to spend a little more with the latest technologies like the in-display fingerprint scanner and better selfie experience along with the AMOLED display, then the K1 is definitely a good device because you spend additional 2K for additional features offered. It's not that both the devices are same. When you spend a 2K additional on Oppo K1, you get in-display fingerprint scanner, an AMOLED display, and also better selfie experience. But then you have to compromise on the color OS, which is not really that great when compared to the stock Android. So you have to prioritize on what is your important aspect. If you are on a tight budget, then Zenfone Max Pro M2 with the large capacity battery would be the best choice. But if you are ready to spend for the latest technology and better display, then the Oppo K1 makes sense. So that was a detailed comparison of these two devices. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Do hit that like button and also hit the subscribe button for more videos. This is Nirmal signing off. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.